A lot has changed here on Mountaintop Holler since we bought this land 3 years ago. When we first started here, we were just going to have a tent and live off the water in the creek and start getting animals and living off the land. Electricity came really easy, and it had a wellhead already and septic, so we hooked up. We're enjoying every minute of it. But at the same time, we're making everything so if we didn't have electricity or didn't have running water, we'd still be comfortable. Let me show you around. One of the first places we started clearing was along this driveway, and these are two of our first buildings that came in after our main cabin. We got them on repo, so they were a lot less than I thought they would be. You know, we plan one thing and things don't always work out the way we plan, but sometimes they're better. I had the idea that every building we had on here would be stick built by us, Randy being in construction and all. He's a very good carpenter. But sometimes when a deal comes along, you just can't pass it up. So we cleared and we put these buildings in, and then we started making plans for what we wanted to do next. Even each one of these buildings has sort of grown and changed with the plans growing and changing. The one right behind me I call my sleep house. That worked really well when I was working night shift. I'd sleep in there with air conditioning during the day. But when we first had it, it was just a few cots and we had our grandchildren staying overnight in it. At one point in time, this outhouse behind me and this shower house right here behind me were the only buildings on this side of the land. Really, it's the animals that needed housing more than us. All these little, I call row housing of chicken houses right behind me are for most of the roosters that we've collected. People have chickens in the area and they only want to keep the hens that lay eggs. So we always volunteer to take any animals not wanted. Now we have a whole group of beautiful roosters. We had thought maybe we might eat them, but they're too pretty, so we just keep building houses for them. Our goats back there are planning to have babies any day, and I'm very excited about that. Maybe we'll need more room for them soon too. Randy's workshop behind me was one of the first buildings we got. I love wood buildings, but I was okay with metal for a workshop. It has grown and expanded, and now we have all this area here that needs to have a home for all this supply wood that we've been collecting. I'm hoping for a pole barn in the near future. This is one of my favorite cabins, and not just because it's mine and it has all my craft supplies in it, and I just love the way it looks inside, but also because of its location. You come right outside the front here, and you can either take a walk across our bridge up to the big falls, or you don't even have to go quite that far because Sliding Rock Falls is right here. Not only have the cleared areas and the buildings and the bridges changed on our land, but even just the trails have changed. This is the original trailhead. We have many more trails every winter when the snakes go to hibernating and the leaves fall off the trees. We do some serious clearing, and then in the spring, one time weed eating through, and we got trails for the whole summer. I love painting signs to let you know where to go. But right here, I was very adamant to Randy in the beginning. I didn't want any of this behind me to be cleared. And now that we've gone through here, I don't know if you can see from there, but you can see the big falls right through the woods right there from way up here. And we still have plenty of trees and plenty of woods. I'll always be careful that we don't get rid of everything. This area that I affectionately call the top of the hill is where the first building Randy built, our pump house, is. It has our washer, dryer, and refrigerator in it, fully electric, unlike our main cabin. Next to that, we have the beginnings of a workshop for Randy. On the other side is our big chicken house. And then here is our RV, where we entertain guests, and Randy put a permanent roof on and porch for relaxing and enjoying. Well, it sounds like I need to get in that hen house. Somebody's laid an egg. Over here is a live tree bridge. One of the first things we found on the very first day that we walked the land without any trails. The tree fell one day from this bank over here, crossed over and landed, and then made a right-hand turn and started growing. And still growing today. Making a bridge across this larger creek has been a challenge because not only the width but the water level changes an incredible amount. To the right side of the creek there, you'll see how high the rock face is. That's where the bank is, way up at the top there. And on this side of the creek, the bank is way down low and eases up, and when the creek is high, the water can go way into the trail we turned off of back there at the side. So we need to find a way to make a bridge that is taller than this tree, which gets underwater at the highest points. But for now, we're thinking maybe we might incorporate this tree into a bridge. Some ideas are on the drawing board. In the meanwhile, we just come out here and enjoy the creek from this special point of view. We're coming up on the location where there used to be a tree house. The owners of this land before us used to come and vacation here with their kids. And they built a tree house right here on this big old tree that died. Let loose and the tree house came down. I have called this trail Treehouse Trail, but once Randy gets all that cleaned up, I don't think anybody will understand why. Unless maybe we build another treehouse in the future. The ribbons on the trees are from my marking trees during the springtime. These trees have beautiful blossoms or blooms or smell wonderful. And when we clear in the winter, it's hard to tell them apart. I don't want to cut any trees down that are beautiful in the springtime, so I mark them with ribbons. Now it's time for a decision to be made. Which way are we going to go? I think we'll follow some more trails. This area here we thought would be a great place for a tent and a campsite. And the big waterfall is right beyond those bushes, so we put a bridge right here and had huge plans until we found out that this is what is our low area of our land. This is the basin where all the water comes when we have huge rains. It's been flooded all the way up that trail behind me. So I guess building here isn't a good idea, or at least we found that out the hard way. The bridge we built got floated away. We ended up taking it apart, found it, took it apart, and moved it up the river creek, just a little ways. This is another fallen tree, but this one's dead, really embedded well. So we just added some wood, a post, and a piece of rope. And we have what we call the dead tree bridge. Gets us over to the edge of the creek near the big falls. But sometimes all this area can be underwater. So it's nice when it's down, gives us more trail room. But it's also nice when it's up because that means there's more water falling over those falls up there. Either way, it's a beautiful sight. Our latest project has been started in this area. We call it the summer cabin. It has beautiful view of the big fall. And hopefully we'll have company in it soon. I mean, even if we don't, Randy and I will be able to sleep out overnight in it when it's all finished. It's amazing to me how high the water can get. This is our 2-man deer tree stand, and the water comes all the way up and around those rocks underneath there when it's high enough. Not very often though. And this is our little shortcut with a handrail up to the upper trails. Keeps us off the bank of the creek for the high water times and makes it so we can always have access to the big falls. Once on the upper part of our trails, we have a great place to sit and rest from all that hiking, and there's always water coming out of those falls. Sometimes the water gets all the way up to this rock, but not very often. We have lost benches that sat here. I think we need to tie those chairs down. But right here, this rock, it's not unusual for water to be falling off of that, especially during the winter when it rains an awful lot. But for right now, I think I'll sit down and rest my weary bones for a minute. Near the big falls, we have another trail, just back straight to the main cabin. We built one original bridge over the creek to get back to the main cabin, and it was made out of pallet wood, which was our first free wood we were getting when I worked at a factory. A tree fell on it and took that bridge out, so Randy had to build another one. That's been his latest project. He built that out of the barn wood we've been taking down. I guess there are a lot of old barns around here people don't want anymore. And it costs a lot of money to get them taken down. Unless they're just going to burn them. We hate waste. If there's good wood, we'll work hard to get it. So, we've been going to old barn sites and taking them apart and bringing the wood home. And the metal. And we're so excited about all the things we get to make out of them.